So look away
Might change my
now
name for a week.
if you don't want to see the results.
And we're back in the room.
Okay, now you just check up on a few people on Twitter to see what's going on, and lo and behold,
Yes.
all the results are posted. Now this resulted in someone not very
Yeah, I mean, I guess we don't really have to mention names, but there's a gentleman who works for a big broadcasting corporation in the UK.
Might they be British?
Could be British.
Okay.
Could have the initials BBC. And there is a number of Twitter accounts from the BBC to do with results, sport, all that sort of stuff. And I found it really interesting that an employee who works in a different division of the BBC, I just saw this tirade on a Saturday evening, I think it was. Real annoyance, real sort of gut-wrenching kind of, not, like, you know when someone's on a tirade because it's like, it won't fit in 140 characters, it has to fit in 7 tweets. It's like 3 dots at the end of it, and don't forget this. It's just somebody's pissed.
Yeah.
And so there was this section where it was saying, if you're supposed to not put out the sports results until people have had the opportunity to go and watch it. So I don't know if you remember when you were a kid, but you'd watch this, I don't know how we always managed to land on it, but on the telly, it'd be like, look away now if you don't want to know the results. And sort of like, all right, turn the volume down or turn the channel over. I mean, it was literally forcing us to get off the channel.
Well, people,
do something else now if you don't want to know.
Well, it's a real passion thing. I mean, especially sports people, they want to watch... They want to see the game unfold. I think there's something about it. Even though it's still not live, but they're watching it and they want to see how the goal is scored. And they don't want to know if they've even lost or won.
Well, it's the reason why people pay to go and watch football, isn't it? It's the reason why people go and pay, because they want the excitement of, the what-ifs, the shots and all that sort of stuff. And if you're working all day and you follow a team religiously and you sort of, trepidation all day, you don't know if they've scored, you don't know who's scored or whatever, and then you see a Twitter account that accidentally retweets the results from another account, which you weren't following, or you were following, but they don't normally do results, but they've accidentally retweeted that thing from somewhere else, and that's what happens.
I think one of the key things is this was an official account from one of the other departments from the said British Broadcasting Organisation that we're referring to.
Yeah, I mean,
so it wasn't just somebody going, these were the results, which people tend to do. But if you are always following, if you have a Twitter following who is made up of like-minded people of yourself, the chances are you all, if you're sports fans, wouldn't tweet those results because you know that you wouldn't like to have.
Well, you get loads of flack, wouldn't you? You get loads of people saying, "What did you do that for?" And
then you'd block them, and they get blocked.
But that's what I find interesting is we're moving into a future of it's not just okay to have a social media policy for an account. It's about for me, it's the ramifications of when you release that data into the wild, who, where, what happens to that data.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people look at that. I mean, we had it to do with court cases, to do with footballers saying stuff about somebody else. But I think we need to get on top of this because this is the stuff that's keeping solicitors and lawyers in business. Because people are actually going and saying, somebody said on Twitter that you did this. And, I'm not for one for sports, really, so I'm not really concerned that something got retweeted. But for somebody who doesn't want to see something, the web is being so disruptive now that it's sort of, you're being forced from lots of different angles. And, what does that future look like if everybody is just blasting it out and there is no more privacy? If we're actually accelerating the lack of privacy, what does that mean on a global scale? Like, do we need to look at it? Does it need to be more training and education to go on to say, how do we use data itself, the messaging, the protocols, the services? What are the ramifications of putting a picture on Instagram of your child, for instance? Do you know who's being able to look at that? I just thought it was an interesting segue to talk about.
Definitely.
That's it for this week. We will catch up with you next week. We've got 10 seconds to go, but I'm sure CJ can butcher those and fill it with something else. Goodbye.